What's good, y'all? So today I'm going to be ranking every single NFL team. Now, I'm not going to go from 32nd to first. Instead, I'm going to be placing the teams into different categories I believe they belong in. So, at the bottom, you got the trash teams, then you got the mid teams, then you got the good teams, the great teams, and then the elite teams. Now, the elite teams are going to be the Super Bowl contenders. The great teams are going to be teams that will make the playoffs or playoff teams. The good tier teams are going to be those teams that just barely miss out on the playoffs by like a game or two. Then you got the mid-tier teams who they're definitely not going to make the playoffs, but they have a decent losing record, like 6 and whatever or 7 and whatever. And then you've got those teams that are just at the bottom of the barrel of the NFL, maybe going 2 and 14, 2 and 15, 3 and 14, or 4 and 13. Let's get right on in to the NFL rankings. Sorry, my camera's in a pretty weird spot. I want to make sure that you guys can see the entire tier list just fine. Quick disclaimer before I start, if I say anything about your team that offends you in any way, I am sorry. It's just how I see your team and how good I think your team is. It's no offense to you, no offense to the team, it's just my opinion. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and start with the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the Arizona Cardinals are a mid-tier team right now. Now, these rankings are about right now, where the team stands right now. Now, I'm filming this right after the trade deadline ended, so I know about all the trades. I know about all the moves teams did. So I have that in mind. So so I'm just giving my opinions on what the team is now, and the team right now for the Arizona Cardinals is mid. They're going to be finishing with a losing record. They're not going to just miss out on the playoffs, because it's either going to be the first or second team in the NFC. I mean, it's probably going to be the second team in the NFC West that barely misses out on the playoffs. But I think the Cardinals are a mid-tier team. They'll finish with a decent losing record. But I don't think they haven't shown anything for me to put them as good, because I don't think they're a good team. I think they're a mid team. They're all right. They're not good. They're not horrible. They're just mid. Next, we got the Atlanta Falcons. Now I'm going to put the Atlanta Falcons as a good team. Now, the good tier and the great tier, there's a little leeway of that, because I do think the Falcons are a good team. They're most likely going to make the playoffs because they're probably going to win their division. But then again, I think when they get to the playoffs, they'll be an early round exit. So that's why I'm putting them as good, because they're going to win their division. But I don't think if they were put in a different division, they wouldn't win. And that's just my opinion. So I'm going to be putting them at good. The Ravens, I'm going to be putting them at great. Right now, they're not a Super Bowl contender. I feel like they can get there, but right now, in my opinion, they're not, because they took away a lot of leads. Their defense is the main part of that. Is shaky. Their offense is a little shaky in the second half as well, which is why they're blowing so many leads. So I'm gonna put them as great. They're not a Super Bowl contender, but they will make the playoffs. Next, we got the Bills. Now, I'm picking the Bills to win the Super Bowl this year. I picked them before the season started. I picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl this year, and I'm sticking with that prediction. I think the Bills are an awesome team. They're outstanding. They're great on both sides of the ball. I feel like they're definitely a Super Bowl contender. They're number one in the AFC right now, and they will be for a long time. Next, we got the Carolina Panthers. Now, the Carolina Panthers are trash. They are trash. They just lost to the Falcons. They got rid of CMC, which, I mean, they won without CMC, but then again, they're still not that good. But yeah, I think the Panthers are trash. They're not going to do well this season. They're going to be at the bottom of their division. They're just not good. Next, we've got Chicago. Now, this was going to come as a surprise. I think the Chicago Bears are a mid-tier team. They show a lot of promise for the future. So, Bears fans, if you guys aren't happy with this season, they show a lot of promise. They just got Chase Claypool, although I don't think that changes it a lot. I don't think that changes their offense too much, because I don't think Claypool will be a super impactful player to make me put the Chicago Bears at good. Justin Fields still needs to be able to get him the ball in order for me to feel confident in putting them as good. But I think they're a mid team. They're not going to finish last in the division, because they got the Lions in the division. But still, I think the Chicago Bears are just a mid-tier team. Next, we got the Bengals. I'm going to be putting the Bengals as a mid-tier team. They are not good. They just lost to the Cleveland Browns. All the teams they've beaten are bad teams. They are not a good team. They're mid. They're mid at best. Next, we got the Browns. The Browns are a good team. They've done really, really well against good competition. I feel like they can hang with the people at their level. So That's why I'm putting them as good. They can beat the Browns, could probably beat everyone below them, which is why I feel confident putting them at good. Next, we got the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are a great team. They're going to be making the playoffs. Now, they have a stacked division, but then again, every single team in that division has a good record. They're over 500. Now, at 500 or better. The Commanders are the only team that's 4-4, that's at 500, not above 500, but they're still at 4-4, which is pretty decent, but I mean, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Giants, they all have winning records over 500. I think the Giants and the Cowboys both have the same record, but I do think that the Cowboys are a great team. They'll make the playoffs easily. This is got the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos are trash. Now, they've beaten pretty bad teams. Yes, I know the Denver Broncos beat the 49ers. Like, come on. So, but I still think they're trash. Regardless, I think the Broncos are trash. They haven't beaten a good team. They keep getting embarrassed every single primetime game that they play in, and it shows every single primetime game that they play in how bad of a team this team is. Now, they just beat the Jaguars, yes, but then again, they just lost Bradley Chubb. To the Dolphins. The Dolphins got a lot better this trade deadline. They got a lot better, but that's why I'm gonna putting the Broncos right there. Next, we got the Detroit Lions. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to put the Detroit Lions at a trash team. There is no way I can put the Detroit Lions at mid when their record is 1-5. Now, the Detroit Lions, they're showing a lot of good teams on the offensive side of the ball. They just choked a lead against the Dolphins. They've been in these high-scoring games, and their defense has just been failing them. I think that's what's holding this team back. Their offense has enough to get it done. They just lost TJ Hawkinson, and it went to a division rival in the Vikings. So the Lions actually got worse because I think they traded him for picks. I think that's all it was. So I got to put them at trash. Their offense has got a lot worse. So yeah. Next, you got the Packers. Packers are trash. I hate to say it because the Packers have been good for for multiple seasons in a row, but this season they just haven't shown me anything to even feel confident at putting them as mid. The Browns can beat them. The Bengals could probably beat them. The Cardinals could probably beat the Packers. The Packers are done. They lost to the Commanders. Then, I mean, I still believe in the Packers because I picked them against the Commanders to win, and then they lost to the Commanders. So I'm done with this team. I'm done picking them. I'm done with saying that they could figure it out because I've been saying that, but I'm done. Packers, you guys are trash. Next we got the Texans, another trash team. Now the Texans, they have Dameon Pierce, but that's basically all they have. Besides Brandon Cooks, we can't underrate Brandon Cooks of how good of a wide receiver he is. Put him on the Packers, and he'll instantly be a great wide receiver. So, but the Texans right now with their quarterback Davis Mills, I think that's their quarterback. They're trash. Next we got the Colts. I gotta put them as trash too. They don't have a good record. They're not gonna be good this year. They haven't been any good teams besides the Chiefs. And I think that was a fluke week, because they haven't won since, besides beating the Broncos, which is another trash team. But yeah, I think the Colts this year, they're turning, and they just turned back to they just turned to a quarterback who isn't good. He's not that much better than Matt Ryan, and he's gonna make mistakes because he hasn't really played that much. So I gotta put them at trash. Now, these are in no particular order. So it's not like I'm saying, since the Ravens are in front, and it's not like I'm saying they're better than the Cowboys. It's not like I'm saying the Lions are better than the Packers, the Colts, and all these teams. They're not saying that the Panthers are better than the Broncos or the Packers are better than the Colts. I'm not saying that. These are in no particular order. I'm just placing them in the different categories. Next, we got the Jaguars. The Jaguars are trash. They beat the... who'd they just beat? No, they just lost to the Broncos. But still, the Jaguars are trash. The Jaguars are trash. They're not a good team. They showed promise week 1, and then from there, they've just been declining. Next, you got the Chiefs. Chiefs are a Super Bowl contender. Now, the reason why I say that is because the Chiefs, they always figure it out. No matter what, they always figure it out. They found a way to do it against the Raiders, coming back from a 17-0 deficit. The Chiefs team, as much as I hate to say it because I don't like the Chiefs because they beat the Niners in the Super Bowl, as much as I don't like to say it, they are a Super Bowl contender. They're going to be a very good team for a very long time. They got rid of Tyreek Hill, but I mean, their offense is still doing pretty well. They're still putting points up on the board. They're still going to be in competition with the Bills to see who can come out of the AFC. So they are a Super Bowl contender. Next, we got the Chargers. The Chargers are mid at best. I don't think they fit the criteria of being a trash team. I think they're mid. They're inconsistent, which is why I'm not putting them as trash and I'm putting them as mid. They're just inconsistent. They play well one week and they don't play well a different week. The Chargers are weird. They're just a weird team this year. Next, we got the Rams. Now the Rams. Next, we got the Rams. Now, the Rams are trash. Their offense sucks. Their defense is not good. They're overall just a trash team. Now, you guys might be saying that I'm wrong for this, but guys, remember, this is my opinion. I think the Rams are trash. They're absolutely dog doo-doo. They beat the Panthers, yes, but they've only beaten bad teams. They haven't beaten a good team this year yet. Next, we got the Raiders. Now, the Raiders, I'm going to put them as mid. Or they don't have a good record. I'm still going to put them as mid because I think they are better than all these teams here who I put in the trash category. Like, I think the Raiders could probably beat the Rams, the Panthers, Broncos, Texans, Colts, Packers, Lions, Jaguars. They can beat all those teams. So that's why I'm going to be putting them in the mid tier. Next, we got the Dolphins. The Dolphins, I'm debating if I should put them as elite to be a Super Bowl contender. I'm debating because they got a lot better. They got Bradley Chubb and then they got Jeff Wilson Jr. from the 49ers, from the Niners. Now, that trade, to me, I have mixed feelings about it. I gotta really think about it in order to come to a good conclusion on what I think about what I really think about the trade. But they just got a lot better. Bradley Chubb definitely helps them out on defense, which has been their struggle for this year, and the run game with Raheem Mostert. Now you've got someone who was with Raheem Mostert, which is Jeff Wilson Jr. So obviously, right off the bat, those two running backs are gonna have good, a good relationship in Miami. But I think I'm gonna put them as great here because they have been pretty shaky. But the only times they've been shaky is when Tua Tagovailoa has been out. So I'm still gonna put them as great. Because, actually, no, you know what? I'm going to put them as Super Bowl contender. I think they're going to make a deep playoff run. The Dolphins are actually really good this year. I have really high hopes for them. Next, we've got the Vikings. Now, the Vikings are an interesting team. I'm going to be putting them as great. Barely out of the Super Bowl contender category. Because of the fact that they're still shaky. The Vikings are still shaky. There's a lot of stuff. They just got Roquan Smith, and they just got TJ Hawkinson, so their offense is going to be better. Actually, should I put the Vikings? Okay, the reason why I'm keeping the Vikings as great is because I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender. I think they're a playoff team, definitely 100%, but I don't think they'll be able to compete with these teams for a Super Bowl. That's why I keep the Vikings as a great team. Next, we've got the Patriots. Now, the Patriots are going to be a good team. They're just going to miss the playoffs, in my opinion. Now, the division, the Jets are up in their division. The Bills are up in their division. It all just depends on how the Jets play and on how the Bills play for the rest of the season. But I do think the Patriots are just going to finish with a losing record and just barely miss out on the playoffs. You guys can see it in their performances each and every week. Mac Jones, he's a little shaky this year. Their offense really, if you look at it on paper, it really doesn't show that much. Their defense is pretty good, but I think the offense is what's holding them back. Next, we got the Saints. Now, the Saints are just going to barely miss the playoffs. They're inconsistent, but they're good. They can beat all these teams, and they did beat these teams. They just beat the Raiders. I think they beat the Cardinals. So, the Saints, I got to put them over these two teams because they're better than them. So, yeah, next we got the New York Giants. New York Giants are going to be a playoff team this year. Now, right now where they are 6-2. 6-2. They beat the Ravens, who I think is a playoff team. They've beaten some pretty good teams. We'll see how they match up against the Eagles later in the season to see if they're actually going to make the playoffs. But right now, where they stand right now, they are a playoff team. Next, we got the Jets. Now, I'm going to be putting the Jets at a playoff team as well, because I do think they right now they're in a pretty good spot. Zach Wilson looks shaky, but then again he does, and they still find ways to win. Their schedule going forward isn't that hard, so I think they'll be a playoff team by the end of the season, and right now they definitely are. So I'm going to put them as great. Next, we got the Eagles. Eagles are definitely a Super Bowl contender. They are the only undefeated team left in the NFL. I can't put them any lower than that. Any lower than that. Next, we got the Steelers. Not much explained there. They are absolutely dog doo-doo. Next, we got the Seahawks. Seahawks are a great team. Their schedule isn't that, it's more difficult now in the second half, but then again, still, I think the Seahawks are going to be able to win a bunch more games, and I think, as much as it pains me to say this, I think the Seahawks might make the playoffs this year. They probably are. Which sucks, because I don't like the Seahawks. Next, we got the Niners. Now, the Niners, dang, they're going to get a lot of people back from injury. We'll see how it goes. But right now, I think they're a great team. They'll make the playoffs. I think. I believe they'll make the playoffs. The reason why I was debating them, putting them with good, is because the teams they've beaten are the Seahawks. Because they're 4-4. The teams they've beaten are the Seahawks. They beat the Panthers, and they beat the Rams twice. 50% of their wins came from the Los Angeles Rams, who suck, who I put in trash. So we can't get too ahead of ourselves right now. The Niners, they are on a bye. They're going to get a lot of their defensive players back and a lot of their offense. Well, not a lot of. Well, yeah. Well, their main running back, Elijah Mitchell, back. Then they're going to get, their former main running back, because their main running back now is Christian McCaffrey. But they're going to get a lot of defensive players back, which definitely helps them out a lot, because their defense is the strongest. Oh, I just spit everywhere. But their defense is the strongest part of their football game. So, yeah. I'm going to put them as a great team. I think they'll be able to make the playoffs. I don't think they'll miss it. I think they'll make it. Next, you got the Buccaneers. Buccaneers are good. They're not mid. They're not trash. They'll just barely miss out on the playoffs because of how bad their division is and their remaining schedule. And right now, they're looking like a team that will just miss out on the playoffs, in my opinion, so I'm going to be putting them there. Next, we got the Titans. Titans are a great team. They are definitely a playoff team 100%, so I'm going to be putting them there. They look good. Even with Malik Willis, they still look pretty good. Next, we got lastly, we got the Commanders. Going to be putting them as mid. They'll be able to beat all these teams here, but then again, I don't think that they will be able to, I don't think they're good enough to be able to, just miss out on the playoffs. I don't think they're that good of a team. I think they're a mid team. They definitely are a mid team. All right, so that is my official ranking for the NFL, for all the NFL teams. Now, the reason why I did this is because it's halfway through the season, and I feel like it's a good segue into the final stretch to see where teams are at right now and see where they end up, in my opinion, at least. So, if you guys did agree or disagree with anything I said in the comment, or anything I said in the video, then leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one.